What is up, guys? It's Verns, back again with another SuperCoach video. This time it is the AFL Round 5 review. Not a bad week, I guess. I think it was a very on par week. I honestly thought this wasn't a great week. We scored a 2,203, made a couple of mistakes. We didn't do the trades we wanted to do, which is unfortunate. But we did go up 2,364 places with that score to season rank of 9K. 9,024. So really good improvement there. Team value looking pretty nice in reality. So, we're getting there. We got a bunch of draft wins again, which feels good. But we'll jump into the team. Before we do, I'd just like to appreciate all those that have liked and subscribed for the consistent injections of SuperCoach content directly into their YouTube feed. You can also find me on X, just at Vance_SC Hub. Speaking of which, we will be on the SuperCoach Sword play later tonight, just for Monday night rage trades. And look, there's a bit I got to rage about there, but we'll be okay. I honestly thought my team was really bad this week, and I was really expecting to go backwards in the ranks, so I will take going up 2,300 spots. I did talk about this sort of stint being a team, like a stint that my team should take advantage of, but yeah, we'll jump to the team and we'll talk about what happened. I'm sure you guys can see it already. What happened was Saligo. Saligo's in my team, out of nowhere. I kept talking about him last week about, how good he's been, and, Saligo's my boy. He's been smashing in my draft leagues for, this year and last year, and I felt like I couldn't just keep calling Saligo my boy because I had him in draft leagues. No, that's not entirely the reason. Obviously, we had Took there previously. Took outscored him by 43 points, so that does suck that we just lost points because of that. But the big selling point was the 60k difference, and that may not seem like a big deal, but you guys can already see it, that I have Kako still on my team. So previously, I would have been keeping Patton and getting rid of Kako. Why do I keep calling him Kako? I don't know. But this meant that I could keep Kako and remove Patton. And my logic there was Patton's a dead rook. He's not getting back in that team. I don't see a world where he gets back in that team, honestly. So he's just a dead rook. I already have Boyd as a dead rook. I already have Camporelli potentially as a dead rook. I hope he gets back in, but at this stage, a dead rook. And then we have the slow burns of Henderson and Stone. And I just felt like I couldn't afford to move out Kako, someone that, in my opinion, could potentially make money. I think he's better than anyone I just named there, and he's at least playing for a non-playing rookie. So like a guaranteed non-playing rookie or Kako. And I was like, you know what? Let's bring Kako in. I think Saligo's still got a great run. They have a good fixture. They have a lot of Adelaide games, and he's been in insane form, and I've loved what I've seen from him. Obviously didn't work out for us, unfortunately. So he gets 63. He was just... Look, it was a 5-day break, and I did mention that in my last video as to why I wasn't going to go for any sort of Adelaide players or anything like that, or maybe, I think, VC Bailey Smith, but I did. I did all those things I said I wasn't going to do. But honestly, Saligo's looked great the last few weeks. He was mad down this game. He was a half a step behind the pace. There's plenty of factors. I mean, he's still at the CBAs. He's still at 60%, which is a little bit down on the 70+ he's had the last couple of weeks, but honestly, whenever he's at the CBA, the hit out would happen, and no matter where he was, the hit out went to the other side of the stoppage. It just never went to his side. He could never get involved in the game that way. He was half a step behind. You could just see it as well. There was one stage where I think Brian Myers grabbed the ball out of a contested situation and took that second to look up and just nail an inside target for Geelong. And Saligo was there, and he just didn't commit for a tackle, and then he kind of stepped forward with a little bit of pace, but just didn't commit. And it was one of those things where, I don't know, Saligo the last few weeks, he would have committed from the word go, and because Brian Myers took that extra second to look up rather than just putting it straight in his boot, he would have landed the tackle. He probably would have got a holding the ball if he landed it too, if he landed a good enough tackle. So it was just one of those things where he's just half a step behind the pace. You look at this year, he's averaging over 5 tackles a game, I think 3 marks a game, over 25 disposals, and in that game he had 1 mark, one tackle, and 15 disposals. It just wasn't his night, and that's what happens sometimes. It just wasn't his night. You could see that maybe he was a bit more gassed. He is a younger player. I think he's only 23 or so. So he's a bit younger, maybe not quite as adept to these back-to-back games as some of the veteran players or the players that have been around a bit longer. But yeah, he just looked that bit gassed, that bit of a step behind. The ball wasn't falling his way. It was just a bit unfortunate for him. So look, it's unfortunate that I bring him in and he scores a poor score, but I do like Saligo as a pick, and I got faith in our boy to bounce back. Adelaide have a good run. He's got a lot of Adelaide Oval games. I also thought, showing up for Gather Round at Adelaide Oval, they would show up and get the job done, but it didn't happen. We got GWS, Optus, but then Adelaide, MCG, Adelaide again. There's like a lot of good Adelaide games coming up. I wanted them for, West Coast. Collingwood were usually a bit leaky to the midfielders. For the Derby, it should be good. Carlton haven't been good. I don't know. I thought Saligo would be... I'm just happy with Saligo as a pick, but didn't work out this week. And in hindsight, the way my trades went, I went Day to Saligo, so that ended up being a sideways. I went Patton to Dudley, which to a degree was a sideways. Like, it banked me 35k, but which allowed me to do these trades, but to a degree it was a sideways. It wasn't really making money. And then it was simply O'Driscoll up to Clark. Now, that was the only one up. But the problem was I had 250k, so it was basically one up with that 250k, and then it was a sideways of Will Day and a sideways of Patton. Sideways to a rookie, sideways to a mid-pricer, premium, whatever we want to call them. So, in hindsight, when I look at it like that, I don't like that at all. But at the same time, I still had to get dead rookies off the field. I think I'm a little bit upset with the Dudley pick as well. Obviously, there was a lot of news that it was unlikely he's going to hold his spot in the 22. There was a good chance of him being the sub, but it was just one of those things where I didn't have the cash to actually go to Clay Hall. I didn't have the money for it. I simply didn't. So it was either Dudley in these trades, or I'd have to skimp somewhere, and then I could bring in Hall. Obviously, if you skimp to a Clark to a Holmes, then boom, you make a nice little improvement there. But if you skimp from like a Clark to... if you skimp from Clark to Nash as well, no, I think Nash is more expensive. But there's plenty of players that if you skimp to, you probably lost money. But with how poor Saligo went, there's probably a lot of sideways. I could have gone the Will Ashcroft instead. Would have made some good bank off that. George Hewitt would have made some good bank off that. So, yeah, a bit unfortunate. Hindsight, I think George Hewitt actually been really good this year. Obviously into West Coast and then into North, his fixture was really good. Maybe should have considered that a bit more, but such is life. Once again, I'm still happy with Saligo, and I believe in him to bounce back. And the good thing about this team being set up is we already know we already have basically 5 rookies, and one of them will drop out, so we only get 4 of those scores. So that was really nice. I think maybe the reason my team stayed a bit more afloat, we didn't have like an O'Sullivan score on field, a Pryor score on field. Yes, we missed Reed, but Trainer and Bice were good scores. So I think we had a lot of solid scores without having great scores. We'll just quickly touch on the captaincies too. We saw that Bailey Smith got the 126. I put the VC on him because Pitnet was potentially named for Tom de Koning. I'm pretty happy with how this ended up turning out at the end of the day, because I was meant to change Smith to de Koning, and I just wasn't paying attention, and the game started. The next thing I know, I'm like, oh well, shit, I've got Smith VC, hopefully he goes off. Next minute it's quarter time and he's like 40 plus points. I'm like, this was ingenious. Slowed down, obviously. Only got the 126, but still a really good score. Obviously, I'm going to bank it and take it, but I was really scared of what de Koning would do. De Koning only gets the 118, and if I had the VC on de Koning for 118, I don't know if I would have taken that, and maybe I would have rolled the dice like a Clark or something and lost more points. So I got to be really happy with what happened here with Smith. I actually haven't had a captain less than 120 this year, so it's gone quite well. We're averaging 128 for our captaincies, which is really good too. So I think that's helping us stay afloat also, which is really, really nice. But just going through it quickly, we have Zorko, unders, but, Sheasel, bit unders, Dale, unders, Roberts, I feel like he's getting affected by Bice, so I don't know if he's a keeper anymore, but we'll keep him because 70 is still much better than, these 40s the rookies can get. Saying that, some of these defender rookies are pretty banger. Bice, really good. Trainer, really good. Pryor, he'll be soon to go, I think. And Reed, really good. Now, I know I kind of sped run through that, and I didn't really talk much about it. I guess highlights in defense, like, She's looking like he was going to go off, and I got really scared that, man, people are going to really torch me because I know he had a high VC. I mean, de Koning had over 50% VC, so we got an advantage there. But then he slowed down at the end, which was good when North sort of got run over. He got a good enough score without it being great. Dale, yeah, Bramble just ended up doing a lot. Just did a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Just Johannesson was back, but I don't think that affected Dale. It's just one of those off games from Dale, and Bramble was having a good one, so he's stealing a lot of his ball. I say having a good one. He also made a few really bad kicks, but yeah, Dale's kicking he was also a bit off, so yeah, a bit unfortunate there. And then, as I said, Robertson feels like Bice is eating into him a bit, which is a bit unfortunate. They're splitting the distribution duties, but once again, we'll keep him as it is. Trainer, I think, is just a gun rookie. That's why I put him on field. Frio, a leaky defensive team. Trainer's a gun rookie, so I was happy to go for that. And Pryor and Reed, I just wasn't too sure about. But Reed came out with a good score, so well done there. Midfield, where we talked about Saligo. Now, Rosie, what a talking point. Anyone that traded out Rosie, absolutely regretting it. All of a sudden gets moved behind the ball, playing off the halfback, looks insane. Kicks 2 goals from there. Port just bringing these goods. They're giving us F1 and Jason Horn-Francis. They're giving us D1 and Rosie. They're giving us M1 and Butters. They're giving us all-line top-tier premiums. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Port. Cherry, yep, into West Coast. Expected a good game. Oliver, Oliver's a bit, I think. Yeah, we'll hold on to him, but I don't know. I don't think Oliver's a keeper anymore. Daniel, yep, sensational. Finn Callahan, once again, we'll hold him because it's better than a rookie score. Ashcroft, yeah, did really well. Loved that. Camparelli used as the VC, so used as the C for Smith. And then Moraes, unfortunate, not a great score, but being my 23rd score, it dropped out, meaning Davidson's 61 ended up being my lowest score. So pretty happy there, I guess. Gone, insane, so good. I'm just going to take a random sidebar and click on players here. Just go to filter, just go to ruck line, and we're just going to look at the averages. And well, I guess averages don't even really matter. We just need to look at total points here. But yeah, Tom De Koning, number 1. Darcy Cameron is great because he's up there, but he did have an open round game. So in reality, he did miss a game. Gorn's basically your R2 there. Cherry's dropped off to 104 average, getting smacked now by Gorn's 6-point average over 5. That's 30 points, as we can sort of see there. So the Gorn owners are winning out here. I mean, as I said early on, it really stung, but now it's really bouncing back. Less than 20% owned, Cherry highly owned. So this is a really nice pot advantage that I'm getting over the competition, and probably something that, I guess, minimized the damage being done. I didn't think my week was good, but when you're getting an extra 62 points off a ruck diff, that's pretty big, so I do love that. De Koning, obviously you got to be on the Pitnet watch, but when Pitnet comes back, with the way De Koning's playing, you probably just hold him for one, see how it pans out, and go from there, sort of thing. But yeah, feel really good about how Gorn's going now, so feel great there. And he's coming into a really good run where he could be genuine captain option. We've already taken 2 VCs from him, so he's done well. If Darcy only played 60% TOG. I don't know what his actual numbers were, and I didn't see him much in the game because, Freo kind of beat them up. But it's one of those things where I do wonder if Darcy's not 100% or for some reason he's not up. I mean, Gorn could be the easy VC here. Could be a massive one. And then, yeah, Richmond, good matchup there. Very happy with that. West Coast, for some reason, always goes small against West Coast, but I like it anyway. So the next 3 seem like really, really good matchups for Gorn. So hopefully we can push that advantage even more. So I love that. Yeah, TDK, good enough. And then, yeah, Horn-Francis, really good game again. Once again, smacking anyone that traded them out. So that feels good. That's the worst thing. He has 2 poor games. You rode them, and then you traded them out, and he comes out with 2 good games. And the guy you traded in probably isn't scoring as much as Horn-Francis has over these last 2 weeks. He's on a 127 average over the last couple. So I doubt you traded in someone that's outperforming that. Yeah, McRae 70, that's kind of good for me. One of my mates actually captained him in my head-to-head, and obviously I just get an advantage there, so good for me. I still think I win that head-to-head irregardless if he gets a decent one, as long as it's not a massive one like a Brayshaw. Smith, yep, great. Parker, once again, people look at Parker and probably think, Vern, is it good enough? The answer is yes. He's priced at 63. He's averaging 83. It's 20 points above that price tag. He's making money. He's still got a low break even. I'm still happy with this, and I still think he has spike scores in him to, hit a 120 here or there, and with that, it will keep his average nice and high. Humphrey, yes, Marek ended up being the better out of the two, not better out of the two players, but the better out of the two SuperCoach picks because he's getting so many kick-ins as much as he is a defensive liability. But Humphrey, hopefully this week's into Tigers, can maybe slap them around a bit and get a really good score here. Davidson, to a degree, is at the end of his cash gen. If you click on SuperCoach Plus, yeah, you can see his break-even 60, and he's at 300k, so he's kind of the ripe rookie ready to go. But the problem is, we'll talk about it in trades. We'll get there. Stone, yeah, chugging away. He's going to be that slow burn, but, he's just chugging away. Also kind of at his price, but we'll just let him keep chugging. And then Dudley, yeah, this is annoyingly silly by me, but all we need is him to crack into the team. He's cheap enough, and I think he's skilled enough that if he can actually crack the best 22, he can get sort of like the 45 minimum with the upside of, as we already seen, an 80. So hopefully he can just crack into that best 22, have a good game, and then get that cash gen rolling again. He just needs like 2 games in the best 22, get 2 60s, and he'll get up to 200k and make 100k, and it's fine. And then Clark, yeah, did his thing. Would like to bigger game from Clark. He did miss a goal on the run as well, which sucks, but we sort of knew this bringing in Clark, that we were bringing him in with a high break even, but into Richmond there was upside, and with his current run that he's got coming, it looked really good. Also, Luke Ryan got subbed off and he had the injury symbol. I don't know, I haven't heard any news about that, but if he's actually out or anything, I think that just Clark stocks through the roof with that. So really keen for hopefully that. Hopefully. Yeah, just real quickly, so we wanted to talk about Brayshaw as well. That's the only frustrating thing here. Is we talked about our 2 options last week, and we didn't even go for the 2 options, but, Tuke Miller versus Andy B. But if I go Tuke, that bit more money meant that I could get, like, a Clark. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. I mean, yeah, if maybe I saved money on Clark and went down to like a Holmes or something like that. Yeah, I think a Holmes obviously the best pick there. And then you get an Andy B in, and I talked about him being my best captain option as well. Maybe I VC to Conning because I get to the game in time. You see Brayshaw, all of a sudden you end up with like an extra 150, 200 points, and it's like, yeah, this is an insane week. And look, it didn't happen. It just simply didn't happen. Obviously, that's what happened. That's the unfortunate thing when you do make trades, is you're always considering, let's be honest, 17 different options, and you're going to sit there and be like, oh, there was a better option. Yeah, look, this option, it didn't work out this week, but we already have seen this with Gorn. Like, I was like, 2 weeks in, you're like, Gorn didn't work out, Cherry was the better pick. And then 3 weeks later, you're like, well, Gorn was the better pick. Gorn's the guy. Cherry has flopped. So, yeah, it might suck right now that, hey, Saligo came in, lost 40 points to Tuke, but, hey, I mean, maybe Tuke comes in next week, gets an 80, Saligo goes 120, and he makes it up. Maybe Brayshaw gets hella tagged into the ground by Spargo, and he drops a 50 or something. We know Brayshaw isn't the best at breaking through tags. Who knows what could happen here, but Saligo could make up that gap, and just got to have faith in my boy. I respect him. He's got this. That's my homie. But we'll talk about trades coming into the week now. We have 19k, so we banked a little bit extra when we did bring in Kako as well, rather than the 300. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean that upgrades can happen. We have 3 boosts, and I'd love to try and get an upgrade done. And you see Davidson's money, I see Pryor's money, and I could probably force it with like a Davidson, Ashcroft, Pryor up sort of thing, and 100% make an upgrade. But then I've got to field like what, a Moraes over Ashcroft. That doesn't feel good. I've got to field a Stone over. Well, obviously, I bring in 1 premium, but hypothetically, I've either got to field like a Moraes over an Ashcroft or a Stone over a Davidson. And even if I'm bringing in a premium that goes 110, with Ashcroft performing at the level he's performing at, I'm only getting 20 to 30 points upside, where Stone, as bad as he is, or Dudley, like, they could get outscored quite significantly by Davidson. So, yeah, I think, unfortunately, this is actually just a bank and chill round. It's usually upgrade season starting now, but it's not quite. I guess the other thing to touch on before we jump into these is that DPPs have come in. So we've got a few players with that extra bit of flexibility, which is really nice, such as Stone, such as Sheasel. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a cheeky cheek that I plan on with those. But then we also have the forward ones. Forward premiums coming in. Petrarca, Chad Warner. There was another big one. Petrarca, Chad Warner. Sorry, I blanked on who the other one is, and I really want to look it up. So we get, Chad Warner, Petrarca. Obviously, Dangerfield's there. Peatling came in, which is cool. I think there was another big one that I'm missing. Who am I missing? Big one. Chad Warner, Petrarca. I think Dangerfield was already a forward. Like, Peatling coming in doesn't really change things. It's someone that's probably playing so poorly that they're not even up with the... Oh, it's Nick Martin. There you go. Sorry. It's because I'm not looking at averages. Nick Martin comes up too. So, yeah, Nick Martin. So, yeah, there's the three sort of big dogs that have come in. But I look at these guys and... Obviously, the dream scenario here is that they get the forward DPP because they're playing enough forward, and then they stop playing forward. Then they return to their 70% CBA role or defensive designated kicker role or whatever it is sort of thing. That's the dream scenario. They get the DPP, and then they return to a good role. We get them at a discount, and we get them in the forward line. Like, amazing. That's what we want. But it's unlikely to happen. Like, Petrarca is playing a lot of forward. He had a bit of elevated CBAs this week, so I think Petrarca is a bit more of a shout than Chad. But yeah, the Chads also had very high forward time, very low CBAs to a extent. Yeah, it's just they could be in the mix, but they're also not. There's a reason they're so cheap. There's a reason they're not even top tier forwards. If we looked at that and all of a sudden I saw F1 Petrarca, F2, Warner, F3 Martin, then yeah, we're bringing these guys in, but they're not. They're actually not performing to the level that we want or expect from these guys. So bringing them in, I don't really know if right now it's an upgrade. I mean, Daniel feels like a much better pick. We have McRae Smith, Horn Francis already there. So there's already 4 forwards. I've only got 2 more spots left. Maybe it goes to a Track. Maybe it goes to a Warner. Maybe it goes to Luke Jackson when he gets back. I don't know. Like, I'm just not ready to jump on that boat as of yet. And the problem there might be, yes, wait 3 weeks and they come good, and it's like, okay, now we'll get on them, but we're getting on them for 50k more expensive, which also sucks. Speaking of which, I also don't have Rankins. There's someone else you got to add to the mix there that I might want. So yeah, got to consider all those guys. But yes, we'll actually get into the trades now. Enough waffling. We will jump into it. What I'm thinking in my head here is if I click on the SuperCoach Plus, I like going off the break-even game. Henderson's cooked. He's cooked. He's on 55 break even. He's got this 13 in his cycle. Basically, he's going to lose money from this point, assuming he holds his spot on the team. God, why does his fixture look so good, though? Freo, Richmond, West Coast. Yeah, we brought him in because he had 2 good games, and then all of a sudden, 40, 30, 13. Absolute garbage. Lost 7k. Like, alright, his break-even's now super high. He's absolutely cooked. There's a good chance if he ends up sub again or starting sub, drops another 20, starts losing money, and all of a sudden this, 70k, well, 67k points gain that we got, we're going to start losing. And then he ends up being someone we have to hold for 10 weeks because then he has to start, he loses 30k and he has to make that back. But by the time he starts making it back, it's slow and it's way later and he's getting dropped and he's getting picked up. And I don't know. The thing I look at with my team is a lot of early on people moved on there and they sideways their premiums and mid prices. I've been sidewaysing my rookies to make sure I got the best ones, but Henderson just doesn't seem like he was the guy. Moraes also pretty high break even, but we've seen that he's good enough. He's at 200k. Back-to-back 40s hurts, especially with this 50 here. It looks like just sort of one blow-up game against Essendon, and outside of that, he's been pretty subpar. He's earned us 88k, not quite 100k yet either. But yeah, that's basically, when I look at these guys, though, it's like, okay, so we have the defenders. They're all performing really well, though, with really nice break-evens. I don't want to move on the rookies that are scoring well and making cash. So they're off the list. Same with Ashcroft. Davidson's not technically making money anymore, but he's at least scoring well as an on-field option. We don't have to rush him. Technically, I can maybe keep Moraes over Davidson. I guess that's one way I could look at it. We have Camporelli's dead as well. Like, we got to be bringing in rookies that are doing stuff, and I feel like Henderson just one that has to go. He's kind of a dead rook. It feels like a dead rook, but he's got a little bit of money in his head, and we should move him on while he's still got that money. Otherwise, he's just gonna be a dead pick on our benches. Oh man, I hate that. I hate the sound of moving on that. Because as I mentioned, we could definitely go more expensive guys and maybe make upgrades there. Like, let's just say hypothetically, I went like a Davidson out, a Moraes out, I burnt a boost and went like a Pryor out. How much money does that leave me with? Well, we want to bring in Tom Gross and Cleary. It leaves us 511. It's not quite enough to do anything with. Technically, we could get like a track or somebody, which isn't awful. It's not awful to get a track in right now into how good their run is looking. Yeah, what happens if I do this? I just talked about I don't know if I'm sold on these guys yet, and then I just go ahead and turn around and say, yeah, let's bring in track. Ludicrous of me. Yeah, he's so cheap. He's lost 73k. He's a forward option now, though, and he's got a really good matchups coming forward. Yeah, it's really this 88. He just hasn't quite been good enough. But, I mean, these... you think against Freo at the MCG and then into Richmond and West Coast. What's his break even at? Next week we're going to be going for Stewart as well, so there's no way we're doing that. We could even go for Stewart now if we technically wanted to. You look at averages. Oh yeah, Stewart's cooked in average, I remember now, because he got that 9. So I'd have to actually type Stewart in. Oh, my keyboard was asleep. Yeah, but with a super high break even, I don't want to bring him in either. So technically I could actually go for a 1-up rather than just banking money. So what I was originally talking about, we'll talk about the two options, is I've just planned on sort of Henderson out, and I kind of planned on Moraes out. I mean, technically I could have gone Davidson out, but he's on field and he's scoring, and I talked about it early in the season. I want to get rid of these shitty rookies before I get rid of the good ones, preferably. And then what I was just going to do, I was just going to go simple break-even game, Gross in... let's just DPP it a bit, and then Caden in, and boom, cool. And that's just sort of the plan there, or at least it was. And then use a bit of DPP swing to swing around my team a bit. And I don't think that looked, that doesn't look too bad. Like, even we just move, Parker up or something like that. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. We get in the rookies, but we're not advancing the team. But it does bank 150k, so we can advance the team next week. But I liked actually what we saw when we did go. I hate paying minimum dollar for these premiums, though. I don't really want to be getting all these budget guys. I want to try and pay up and get the good guys, you know? But Track does have a good run here. So we were looking at Pryor out. Was it a Henderson instead and then Davidson? Yeah, that gave me the money to do it, didn't it? And if we just went these guys, swing Stone up, Track. Sorry, instead of Henderson, did I go for Moraes? Is that what I did? Yeah, I must have. And it's an upgrade. It's a progression of the team. We now have an extra premium, which feels pretty good. He's got 101 break even. We don't really have to force him this week, though. But if we don't do it this week, next week we're obviously going to get Stewart. Probably from one of these defensive rookies. We basically have to use one of the defensive rookies. But then what other money do I have? Am I going down from Kako? I'm hoping Humphrey restarts his cash gen. Yeah, I mean, Trainer would need like 150k on his head. Kako going down, it wouldn't quite get me enough money. But then I could boost and go another player down. That's where maybe I go a Henderson down if he doesn't lose more money. But then it's only getting like 50k just to make the upgrade. That's the thing I don't like about it. Going Henderson down is only really banking me 53k, which is kind of a waste of an upgrade. But at the same time, like, look at this team. Now I have potentially slow burn dead rookie and Dudley, Boyd dead, Camporelli dead, Henderson dead, Stone super slow burn. That's 5 rookies that are just being way too slow. And I'm just not really sold on Track. Yeah, I think that's not the path I'm going for. I think I just need to bank some money this week and chill out a bit. So we go Henderson out. We'll just look at that first. So bringing in Gross for Henderson. And Moraes gets us basically to 150k in the bank. I guess if I do look at the break-even game, Moraes could get it going again. I don't know. I kind of want Davidson to pop off into St Kilda, but he could just easily keep going 50s. Like, he got the 39 earlier. Yes, he had a massive spike score, but if he keeps going around this 50 to 60 mark, he's just going to plateau. If he hits a massive spike score this game, though, obviously, then he restarts the cash gen, but he might not hit a spike score until Essendon in round 10. And let's be honest, we're not holding on to him for that point. We're going to move on him next week anyway, and if he gets a massive spike score, I have to move on someone. I think that's really the difference, is I don't believe in Moraes getting that spike score. I feel like his was a bit of flukiness. He's going into the SCG, which is obviously a smaller ground. It's not good. Yeah, I think I'll just go Moraes out over Davidson. I think I just like that better. Right, I got to DPP this up. Let's clear in. And then I'm going to show you some funsies as to what I plan on doing with setting up my team. So I plan on holding that boost. Next week, we should be able to go up to Stewart. And with the 150k, that can basically go on top of Davidson, and then we're straight at Stewart. Then with the help of the boost, maybe we can go one up, one down in some sort of way. Prior with maybe another one of these rookies in the defensive line. I think they're the only rookies that are quite ripe enough to go, so I'd have to kind of do it that way and maybe get a double upgrade next week. But even saying that, I mean, Prior down 100k on top of 300k, it's only a 400k guide. It's still not enough, even doing that. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe we just play it slower and we get the best of the best rather than trying to just force in questionable picks. It's hard because I can force Tracken, which is questionable. Then I can probably force Stewart in the next week, which is fine. And then the week after that, then I'm probably running into some sort of money troubles where maybe I have to start getting rid of like a Ashcroft, which I don't really want to do at that. But I'd probably have to because no other rookies would be ready. Maybe I have to get rid of like an Ashcroft and a Reed. Maybe even a Bice to get a top-end premium. And that at least advances the team every week. It at least advances the team every week. With this, it's one stagnant week. And I hate the idea of having one stagnant week. But what I was going to show you with all this is I was going to show you up Z, down Z, around Z, bang. And what this sort of does is it means that I get Reed and sort of the three best rookie defenders who have been really, really good and quite consistent on field rather than having to like field a Kako or something like that. Saying that I could technically run an Ashcroft loophole with Camperelli named if he doesn't get named. Again, so we can at least run a loophole that way, and if it doesn't work out, then I can maybe field Gross or maybe probably field Kako considering he's into this. Yeah, and I think that looks better having those three rookies on field rather than sort of fielding a... Because the other way sort of forces me into, like, I have to field a Cleary or something like that. Which I mean, Cleary was fine. I don't know, though. I think this just looks better. Is it better, though? I don't know. Because I can always just switch like that and then get Cleary on field that way. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's like I'll be tossing up all week, guys. Do I go track this week into Stewart next week and look at just continuously improving the team? I mean, the boost would definitely mean one less rookie off field, which is nice, and that's sort of what we're aiming at here. But then I'm just not picking up the best primos. Is that the important part, though? Is it important to get the best primos or just get rookie off field? I mean, the rookie's Davidson, though, and I'm already scared that Davidson's going to spike score. Like, what happens, like, because St Kilda give up massive points to, like, wingers as well. What happens if I bring in Track, he goes 105, which is cool, and Davidson has a spike of 120, and I just sit there like, God damn, this sucks. There's a good chance, though, he doesn't really earn much on his break-even. There's a good chance Track doesn't earn much on his break-even. It's just I'm giving up basically 40 points. If they both meet their break-evens, then I'm just sort of giving up 40 points for not having Track over Davidson on field. That's the only real difference. And as I said, it preps for then really good back-to-back weeks after that. I think I'm actually going to do it that way. I know I've been wasting way too much time in this video. Yeah, so we're going to update Henderson. He needs to go... Oh, Henderson is forward DP. Well, that's cool. He needs to go like that. Didn't even realize that he had DP. And then we can go Pryor out this way. Stone up. And we do it. We just go bang and we bring in Track. We bring in the talent that is Track. And that looks pretty good in my eyes. Let's just switch him around a bit. Oh my gosh, Levi Afcroft as forward DPP? I didn't even realize that. I was so stupid. I basically get whichever rookies I want on field with this. That works really well, which is nice. Is there anyone in the midfield I want, or I prefer Cleary over this? I think I might just prefer Cleary over this. Maybe kick Cow for a spike game. Yeah, maybe let's just throw Kako in there for a spike game. Let's just go for that. We don't really have any VC loops that can happen here, but I think Gross just goes there. Yeah, wow. I mean, yeah, it makes me want to hold on to Levi for even longer because he can just flip down to our forward line. I can maybe go Humphrey before I even go Levi out. That's probably a better play. Hopefully Humphrey can bounce back against Tigers this week. If he doesn't, then he goes next week. It's a very easy upgrade with Humphrey to get to Stewart, which is nice at least. And then that's the extra cash maybe I was talking about where I can... Could I even force another up? No, I wouldn't be able to force a double next week. There's no way. But yeah, this is nice. I actually like this. I think I'm settled on this. In regards to season VCs, I'm going to go for Zorko. And I'm going to go Zorko into... Bailey Dale. Nah, I don't think I'll do that. I think there's a good chance I actually go Gorn or Sheasel. I think there's a few good options. I think, number one, I know Zorko hasn't had the greatest scores back-to-back week, but we saw what we let Bailey Dale do us. He dropped to 144. We just let teams kick out of our defensive 50. We set up our zone. If you want to play chip ball, we sort of let you do it. And I could see Zorko having a really big one against us, having one of those 130s. So I think Zorko's a really good shout here. The other notable ones, as we mentioned, Sheasel going in here. No, nobody. I mean, Merritt, if you're on Merritt. Gorn's been in good form, 2 good games. Shrek's a bit underdone. He could be a shout there. So historically, hasn't had good games there, but yeah, I think could in this matchup. Adelaide, yeah, nobody I really like here. Maybe Whitfield if you're holding Whitfield still. If you have a Rowell, if you have a Anderson, there's good shouts there. Sorry, there's one player I'm curious at that I'm going to go check. Flanders. What did he get? Did he get DPP? I'm assuming he got DPP. Did he get mid DPP? I'm pretty sure he would have got mid DPP rather than forward. But yeah, let's go check it out. Nobody in this game I really choose. Obviously, Bailey Dale here from the Dogs into St Kilda has been a little bit down, but he did drop 170 on them last year. I don't know how I'm feeling into St Kilda. I don't think they're giving up as many points to defenders as they have historically. Whitfield this week only got an 84, so I think it's. I understand it was a small ground, but I think they're not the St Kilda Revolt that used to give up big scores, and then nobody that I love in the Geelong Hawthorn game. So yeah, I think it's Zorko VC, and I think there's a good chance we just end up taking that VC. Obviously we can do that with the help of Boyd. Thank you very much. Actually I'll do that with De Koning because Yeah, De Gordon might be an option for a C, especially if Shrek's not named. I need to go look a little bit more into Shrek and see how he's doing through training this week, because if he's not doing well in training or he's just doing average, I think Gordon could really tear up here. So yeah, that's the team. I actually feel pretty good about it when I look at it. Just 2 rookies there, Ashcroft here, Kako there, so there's 4. 1 drops out, we get 3. Next week we'll be able to make that 2, and with how well these defensive rookies are playing, it feels pretty good as well. But yeah, I guess that's it. If for some reason Stone doesn't get named as well, this could work really well, where you have Reed come in, get a good game against West Coast, Stone doesn't get named, you can loop him with Trainer. Yeah, not bad, not bad. I like this. I like this setup. If he doesn't get named, I don't know. I kind of like Trainer more as a distributor. He really distributes the ball too. Players, we're just going to randomly go check out Flanders now. Sorry, just killing time. I got the mid defense. That's unfortunate. We would have loved to have seen forward on that. That would have made him a great pick. But I think Flanders is traveling fine, losing some good cash at the moment, and maybe he'll turn it on a little bit later, and we'll be able to get Flanders for like 500k, which, you know, isn't too bad. So yeah, this is the team for now, guys. This is how it's traveling. I'm happy with it. I think we're going to have a good week this week. I think we are going to have a good week. I look at this team, and I think we went a bit unders last week, which was really unfortunate, but I really believe in us to bounce back. So, look, till then, guys, I've rambled way too long. I just saw this 40-minute video. I'm so sorry in advance. I hope you just listened to it in the car. It's not in case you're traveling. I'm so sorry, team. Till next time. Peace. Later.